So YouTube has jumped in to the original content creation space with a bit of a surprising splash with their original series Cobra Kai. And I don't want to say original content creating space because that is what YouTube is, right? Like anybody that has videos on YouTube, it's their original creative content. And they're by far the largest library of videos. It's like the go-to place for videos. Vimeo to a lesser extent, but every other video platform pales in comparison to YouTube. But what I mean by original content is like creating its own like series and shows the way that Netflix does and Amazon does with like Sneaky Pete, or Netflix does with a slew of shows that it's created. Like House of Cards and Ozark and 13 Reasons Why and etc. etc. And I'm not sure if YouTube has, I know they have other content, but I don't know if Cobra Kai was like their first or just like their first hit. I'm guessing it's not their first, but it's definitely their first hit. And YouTube has it available via its paid subscription service. And a tip for you folks is sign up. When you sign up, you get like 30 days free. And, if you choose to keep it after the fact, feel free. But as far as I know, Cobra Kai is really the only thing that was sort of worth checking it out. And I was on the fence about it at first. I almost like missed watching the series, but I'm really glad that I actually watched it. And I signed up for the free 30-day trial, and then just cancel it if you don't want to stick around. And I forget how much it is. I think it's like $4.99 a month or something like that, or $7.99 a month, like similar to like Netflix. But I think it's cheaper though. Something else that's cool with it, if you do decide for whatever reason to stay with the subscription, is that you could download YouTube videos, like regular YouTube videos that you watch. You could download them and watch them offline. All right, but Cobra Kai is a show 32 years, I believe, after the fact, from a hit 80s movie called The Karate Kid. And there were like sequels to The Karate Kid and like remakes of The Karate Kid with like Jaden Smith, for example. And Jackie Chan did like a remake version. But the original Karate Kid was the shit. And if you are of a certain age, you are familiar with the movie. And if not, it's worth going back and checking out. So the first thing that Cobra Kai does well is the nostalgic element of the show, of the series, which is unavoidable, right? It has like most of the original cast members, definitely the most prominent ones. They have direct references to the movie. It's not like in the future, and they try not to like speak about the movie because they don't have the rights to it or something like that. It's direct references to the movie, flashbacks to the movie. And you see like different camera angles and different points of views from the original movie, stuff that didn't come out in the actual movie, which is pretty cool. It's literally like an extension of the movie, just like where are they now 30 years later type of thing. Now, I was on the fence with watching it because, I don't know, it sounded kind of sort of corny, and from the commercials that I saw of it, it was like, maybe. But seemed kind of like corny-ish. And YouTube, by the way, you can watch the first 2 episodes for free without even like signing up or whatever. And that's what got me into watching the episode. Were 2 things. One of my coworkers saw the series and he loved it. The other thing was, before that, I heard, I forget his name, Ralph Macchio, the guy that plays the main character, Daniel LaRusso, and also the guy that plays Johnny on the Nerdist podcast, and which is renamed to Something Idiot podcast, but I don't know. I'll always reference it as the Nerdist probably. I don't know why they changed the name. It was like such like dope branding. But they were on Chris Hardwick's podcast, and the way they described it, and it went deeper than obviously what you get from the commercials. And from like their point of view and stuff like that, I was like, oh, maybe it is worth the watch. And then a coworker of mine saw it and said it was worth the watch. He liked it, and I was like, fuck it, let me watch like the free episode. And I saw literally the first episode, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely watching this series. And what I like about it definitely does have corny moments. Like it has elements of what originally I assumed it would all be about, which is why I was on the fence. I thought it was just gonna be like a cheesy, I don't know, like a cheesy extension to a movie type of thing, and like trying to juice something, and it would just be like super corny and like PG-13ish, or I don't know. And it definitely had some elements of that, where it was like a bit on the nose, like in certain scenes or certain lines, but it was very much so outweighed, in my opinion, by the fact that it wasn't like PG-13ish. It was like, it had cursing, it had like non-PC references. Like today everything is like, everybody's like overly PC, and everybody gets up in arms about like fat shaming or bullying and like stuff like that. And this series I thought would be like that on steroids, but it's not. It's like some of the kids are like that are in it, but it stays true to like the whole high school experience. Some kids are just assholes, and then the like the grown-ups, for example, like the guy that played Johnny, which was the bully in the movie of the Karate Kid in the original movie, he like is completely like non-PC, which is cool. Like he's like, back in my day we call you fucking nerds pussy, and he says that to like a 17-year-old he's like teaching karate and shit. In what else, like one of the opening scenes that kind of like laid it out for me, and I was like, oh, that's the type of show it's gonna be. Johnny comes out of his apartment, and he's like, it kind of shows him he grew up to be like a miserable older man that's like struggling to make ends meet, and just living in like a slum apartment, and sloppy beer bottles everywhere. He has a drinking problem, shit like that. And then he comes out to throw his trash out, and there's this Hispanic kid that sees him in the parking lot throwing out the trash, and he's like, oh hey mister, me and my family, we just moved into apartment 109. I just wanted to introduce myself. And he's like, great, more fucking immigrants. That's what like Johnny says. And then the kid is like, actually we're from Rosita or something. Like he just said it like confused, but then that kind of like set the stage for like, to me, like what type of show or how the show was going to be like carry itself out, or at least his character. And he's like that throughout the series, and obviously his character evolves a bit, and he has an arc like every character does, but he definitely doesn't shy away from his original bully roots. And in like one scene, a girl that goes to his dojo to train, she wants to train, and he says, this isn't for girls, no girls allowed type of thing. And they ask him why, and he's like, because girls are whiny and they cry and they're gonna complain and blah blah blah. But then he asks her like why she wants to join, if she's gonna bullied and stuff like that, and she says yes. And she says that she gets like emails and text messages saying that she should kill herself and that she's fat, and makes her not want to go to school sometimes, etc. And it's kind of like this like aw like moment, and then he's like looking at her like concerned, and then his reaction to that is and do you know who these kids are, so you could like kick their ass? And she's like, no, they normally send like messages like that anonymously. And he has like this look of concern in his face, and you think it's like a concern for the girl like getting bullied, and he's like, those fucking pussies. In my day, if you wanted to bully somebody, you did it to their face. There was some pride in it. There was some, it took balls to bully somebody. These little bitches nowadays just hide behind tablets and phones and shit. And to me, it was like an oddly refreshing take on the situation. Then Daniel LaRusso, for those of you that didn't watch The Karate Kid, is a kid that he goes from Jersey to LA when he's younger, and he is the son of a single mom, and they're kind of poor, and he's a new kid in the school, and he gets bullied by this kid Johnny, who's like one of the popular kids and comes from an affluent family. It's like a feel-good 80s movie where the kid that gets bullied winds up overcoming the bully at the end and being like the hero. And he grows up to kind of be like definitely successful in terms of financially, and his family life seems very stable. He has a wife, he has a daughter, he has a son, and he has a successful business in the same like town that he grew up in. Oh, shout out to Brett Ernst, by the way. That's a Comedy Store comic and host of the What's on the List podcast, and he is in the movie as well. He plays Daniel LaRusso's cousin. I'm sorry, in the TV show, and he's funny. So Daniel grows up to be kind of like snobby, not like super snobby, but like enjoying his wealth, kind of snobby. You know what I mean? So the way it's shot, like from the beginning, you kind of like feel bad for Johnny, like the bully guy. So Johnny doesn't have much going for him. He winds up getting fired, and this little the next door neighbor kid that he called an immigrant said, or he bumped into him, and he was getting bullied by a bunch of kids from his school, and then Johnny like jumped in, but he only jumped in because they like punched the kid and knocked him onto his car. And he told him to get the fuck off his car, and then he was just gonna let them like beat him up. But then they started like cursing at him, and then Johnny, which is the bully from the Karate Kid movie, he like just fucked them all up with karate, and which again isn't like PG-13 shit, like 40-year-old man fucking up a bunch of 16 to 17-year-olds, which is funny. But then the little kid sees that, and he asks him to like teach him, and he says no, blah blah blah. But then he had just gotten fired, and he told him that he would pay him, so he says yes, and that kind of like snowballs into him reopening up the Cobra Kai dojo and getting more students. And it was an interesting juxtaposition in that the bully from the movie winds up being like the trainer for all these like nerds and geeks and the kids that get like picked on in school, because the Spanish kid winds up getting like his friends to join and stuff like that, and it was like interesting. And then on the flip side, like Daniel LaRusso, he's just running his successful business, but then he gets the itch, and he's reminiscing about his like karate days and stuff like that, and he used to train his daughter, but then his daughter like grew out of it, and was kind of like a popular cool girl in school, and she's more into that than chilling with her dad and doing karate and shit. And he winds up like mentoring this kid, which actually winds up being Johnny's estranged son, which is a little on the nose, but interesting. The kid, he's kind of like a bad kid, resents his father, doesn't go to school, dropped out, and like steals, and it's an interesting juxtaposition where the good guy from the movie winds up being the sensei for the bad kid, and then the bully from the movie winds up being the sensei for the like all the little good kids, like all the little nerds and stuff. That was like an interesting twist that I liked. And you know what's sick? There's a specific scene in the movie where Johnny's telling the kid about his high school days and about the LaRussos and why he hates them and stuff like that, because they still have this like rivalry beef or whatever. When they see each other, like everything like comes back, and they pretty much like pick up where they left off, type of thing. And Daniel's a successful business owner in the town, and he tries to get the Cobra Kai dojo like shut down, and like a whole bunch of shit like that like goes on throughout the series. What was interesting is that they show they showed the movie, or I'm sorry, Johnny like explaining, why he hates Daniel, and he's telling the kid about his experience in high school and stuff like that, and how Daniel came, and he was like the new kid in school, and he wound up taking his girl, which is true, but like they had like recently broken up in the movie, and then she took a liking to Daniel, and that started the rivalry between them back in high school, et cetera, et cetera. But he tells the story from like his point of view, and it's like nothing conflated, nothing exaggerated, nothing, he just tells it from like his side, and it shows like the same scenes in this sequence, but just from like his point of view as opposed to Daniel's point of view, which is what you see in the movie. And it's so fucking interesting. It's like you see that and you're like, yo, it's true. Daniel's the fucking asshole. Fucking came in, took his girl, got like extra hyper and like pushed him. And when he started like teasing him and telling him to like take a hike and stop talking to his girl, and then that's when like Johnny kicked him. But in the movie, it's like Johnny like fucked him up with karate, and then that's why he started learning karate. Daniel did or whatever. So it was just like really interesting, and it really made me think about POV, like different people's point of views, like not just in like stories and like with my own writing, but in just like life in general, like the same exact situation. Intellectually I know obviously that different people have different points of views and different interpretations of the same exact thing, and especially like when it comes to music or stories or movies or just conversations that you have with people, and people can take different things away from it. But it's like the way that it was like laid out in the show just like really brought that point home. And it was a dope series, man. It's 10 episodes. I recommend it. You guys should check it out. Cobra Kai, first 2 episodes available for free on YouTube. And if you're interested, like I said, sign up for it for the like free trial or whatever. You get it free for 30 days. Watch the series, binge watch it. You can watch all of the episodes back to back, just like Netflix, and then cancel the subscription afterwards if you don't find anything else that you like. Which reminds me, I gotta cancel my shit.